Hey guys, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. You know what time it is. It's time for another episode of KJ's What Happened. Man, I've got some wild ones to show you this week, as always. But it just keeps getting crazier. Just when I think things can't get any crazier, there's more. So I have been working on a couple bigger videos, uh, kind of putting a lot of things together. I want to show you some things I've been finding here lately. Thanks for your patience. So one of those should be out hopefully within the week. But, enough about me. Let's get into this news. Like this one right here, I've talked about this before. I even did a video a few years ago, proof we're living in a movie, but we really are living in kind of a science fiction movie, right? I mean, it's crazy. Or really, we're just seeing the payoff of all the predictive programming and imprinting that we've been under for so many years. But all leading us to this, right? But China is unleashing killer robots and stealth drones that carry out targeted airstrikes without a human pressing the fire button. What could go wrong? The killer drones and pilotless aircraft fitted with AK-47 rifles are being exported to Asia, Africa, and combat zones in the Middle East. Look at those things. It really is like something straight out of the future, huh? Killer drones. Unmanned aerial vehicle unveiled, adding to a range of Chinese drones that have already seen combat in the Middle East. Wow. Well, they made a movie about something like this, like what? It's probably been about 10 years ago now, about a drone that goes crazy and starts killing everybody. You guys remember that? It's a military movie. U.S. National Security think tank Center for a New American Security said in a report that Chinese officials see this AI arms race as a threat to global peace. Gregory C. Allen, the author of the report, said China is rushing to integrate ever more sophisticated artificial intelligence into weapons and military equipment. What could go wrong, right? Everything's going to be okay. Don't worry. He pointed out that drones, both large and small, are a particular example of a type of weaponry that is increasingly becoming automated. In the U.S., drones are capable of basic autopilot, performing simple tasks like flying in a circle around a target, but China is being much more aggressive about introducing greater levels of autonomy closer to lethal use of force, he says. One example is the Blowfish A2 drone, which China exports internationally, and which Mr. Allen says is advertised as being capable of full autonomy all the way up to target strikes. The Blowfish A2 autonomously performs complex combat missions, including fixed-point timing detection and fixed-range reconnaissance and targeted precision strikes. Depending on customer preferences, Chinese military drone manufacturer Zion offers to equip Blowfish A2 with either missiles or machine guns. Depending on customer preferences, Chinese military drone manufacturer offers to equip the Blowfish A2 with either missiles or machine guns. What could go wrong? Oh, you didn't take the mark? You think you're going to get away? I know, right? I'm probably just reaching. Mr. Allen wrote, though many current generation drones are primarily remotely operated, Chinese officials generally expect drones and military robotics to feature ever more extensive AI and autonomous capabilities in the future. Wow, huh? The future is now. We've been being imprinted with this whole idea for a very long time. Anyway, of course, there's always a pyramid. Freaking pyramid and a sun symbol here. Okay. That ought to get us started, huh? Let's see what else we got tonight. I got some doozies. Speaking of, hi. You going to say hi tonight? Chubbs is right here with me. No? All right. We'll be here. I'm hoping to hear something from you. The audience is always asking about you, and you won't even say anything. You're right here next to the mic. Go ahead and say something. He's going to lay down? All right, lay down. He's being a shy boy now, so we'll see what happens. Having a second child does damage to parents' mental health study. I saw a friend of mine on YouTube, Jeff C., was covering this. I hadn't seen this one yet. It's because it's from a little further back than just the last week. It's from December of 2018, so a couple months ago. But I thought it was a good article to share, so I wanted to show you guys this. Check it out. this new world order, this beast system, is so anti-family anyway. It's pretty obvious, right, to most of us. But now you have stuff like this. When it comes to raising kids, having more may not make you merrier. A new study from Australia found that having a second child worsens parents' mental health. My thing is always, who did the study? I don't care to get into it now, but that's what I would look into. Who did the study? And most importantly, follow the money. Who's funding the study is what you got to look into there. I didn't see all of Jeff's video. He may have covered that. I don't know. But researchers from the University of Melbourne combed through 16 years of data from the household income and labor dynamics in Australia survey. They found both parents showed improvements in mental health after having their first child, but a second child doubles parents' time, pressure, adding further stress to their lives and negatively affecting their mental health. Bianca Rodriguez, a marriage and family therapist, says the study's findings are consistent with her professional experience. It's been said that having one child is what you'd expect, but having two is like having 10, Rodriguez, who's based in LA, told the Post. This is because the amount of attention required for two children is not doubled. It's exponentially greater because now you have the added dynamic between the children to manage. Okay, let's see. I wonder if she's married. I don't know. I'm just saying. It's funny. Sometimes they'll, they're looking for a certain answer, so they'll find a way to get there by who they interview and everything else. Who knows? I don't know. But I just thought it was interesting. This system really is anti-family. I believe it's very basic. The reason why, because there's so much love, typically, right? There's so much love with families. I know there's also a lot of tragedy in some families as well, but the opportunity exists when you start creating children and all this. There's a lot of love there, typically. And that's, the most dangerous thing I feel to the beast system truly is love, right? Let's see what else we got here. Let's tumble down this rabbit hole a little bit further, shall we? This is a good one. Man claims extraterrestrials are to blame in Highway 18 rollover accident. On Wednesday, February 6th, a solo vehicle accident occurred on Highway 18 above Red Rock Wall. A white Ford E350 van, for unknown reasons, overturned on Highway 18, landing on its side after crossing the oncoming traffic lane. The van was traveling upbound towards Rim Forest just after 1:34 p.m. According to CHP transcripts of the original 911 call, the driver adamantly stated that his van was flipped over by aliens. Additionally noted in the CHP transcripts, the male driver became confrontational with bystanders and officers, then stated that he did not want law enforcement on the scene and demanded a tow truck. The van laying on its side was not a traffic hazard as it was out of the roadway and not blocking traffic lanes. 3 CHP units were on scene. The man was not transported for his injuries and his claims of alien intervention, quote unquote, during the traffic accident are under investigation by the CHP. Okay. So aliens did it. Who knows, man? These are the kind of stories I'm really into. That's why you see so many weird ones like this every week. I love X-Files. I love all that stuff. I love unsolved mysteries. But, a lot of the stuff is based in truth. There are strange things happening all around us. Not everything. A lot of this, does need investigation. We've seen a lot of these kind of strange stories on here that kind of lead nowhere. They don't really go much more into it. There was one, I barely remember now the details because there's so many stories we go through here, but something like 20 children were affected by something. This is a while back. Oh, yeah, like 20 kids tried to hurt themselves, right? It was like 20 little kids, elementary school kids tried to cut themselves or hurt themselves. Maybe you guys remember this one. It was a few months back. And the article was really short and they never went into anything else about it, why or whatever else. They just kind of left it hanging there. So anyway, if I had millions and millions of dollars and could just travel around and investigate things like this, that's totally what I would do the rest of my life. Chubbs is back. Let's see if he says anything. Hi. Want to say something? Okay, he's just walking over. Let's move on. I mean, I could squeeze a meow out of him, but that just wouldn't be humane, British woman arrested, investigated for calling transgender woman a man. Again, how all of this movement is really being weaponized, right? A 38-year-old British mother of two was arrested and detained for several hours after calling a transgender woman a man on social media. She remains under investigation. Kate Scottow of Hitchin, Hertfordshire, was arrested and detained by 3 officers who took her photograph, DNA, and her fingerprints, and confiscated her mobile phone and laptop. Keep your grimy hands off my DNA. Ugh. Although the incident took place on December 1st of last year, Scottow remains under investigation and was served with a court order banning her from calling the transgender individual a man online. I was then detained for 7 hours in a cell with no sanitary products, which she said she needed, before being interviewed, then later released under investigation. She says, I was arrested for harassment and malicious communications because I called someone out and misgendered them on Twitter. Hertfordshire police confirmed the arrest in a statement to the Daily Mail, saying that they take all reports of malicious communication seriously. Wow. Stephanie Hayden, a lawyer and transgender individual, filed a complaint against Scottow, accusing the mother of, quote, dead-naming Hayden, which is a term that means referring to a transgender person by their former name. Never heard that one before. Dead-naming. You ever heard that before? Dude, he totally dead-named you. According to court papers, Scottow was accused of posting defamatory tweets on the social media outlet and for referring to Hayden not only as male, but also as a, quote, racist, xenophobic, and a crook. For her part, Scottow has denied harassing Hayden, adding that she holds a genuine, reasonable belief that an individual cannot practically speaking change sex. The United Kingdom has extensive hate speech laws. In 2003, the nation banned online communication that may, quote, cause annoyance, inconvenience, or needless anxiety to another. Wow, that's way back in 2003. According to an October 2017 article by The Times, approximately 3,300 people, 33, were detained and questioned for what they wrote online in 2016 alone. Of that number, The Times found that roughly half of the investigations into the complaints were dropped before prosecutors brought charges against the accused. Earlier this year, 74-year-old Margaret Nelson, a former humanist celebrant, another term I've never heard, a humanist celebrant. A humanist celebrant. Can you describe her for me? Yeah, man, she's a total humanist celebrant. Oh, got it. A former humanist celebrant and blogger who lives in Suffolk received a phone call by police to take down posts in which she was critical of transgender ideology. Later, a spokesperson for the Suffolk police sent a statement to The Spectator explaining that the call was a mistake, noting that they made a misjudgment in following up a complaint regarding the blog. As a result of this, we'll be reviewing our procedures for dealing with such matters. We are sorry for any distress we may have caused in the way this issue was dealt with, and have been in contact with the woman who wrote the blog to apologize, stated the police. Wow. Okay. Very interesting. Dude, he totally dead-named you. Oh, I'll get my hands on him. Chris Pratt says Christian faith is saving him from, quote, lion's den of fame. It will kill you. I don't doubt that. We know that happens in some cases, right? Actor Chris Pratt credits his Christian faith with saving him from Hollywood's lion's den of fame, a force, he said, that has the power to, quote, kill its victims. During an interview on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Pratt was asked, do you ever feel like you're in the lion's den by being a celebrity in the public eye? The actor responded with a quote from his pastor about the pressures of fame and struggle to maintain humility. If the spotlight that is shining on you is brighter than the light that's within you, it will kill you. It's a good quote. And you see it all the time, he said, calling stardom, quote, a real bright spotlight. Sometimes just having a self to share is what kills you because there's nothing left, Pratt continued. So you have to have a light to share, a light that's just as bright as any of these lights. then you can survive, and then you can save some of yourself and not give it all away. It's true. The Lego Movie actor also revealed that he has just completed a 21-day Daniel fast that he participated in through his church. Daniel was a guy who only ate fruits, vegetables, and grains, explained Pratt, adding that he was inspired by his pastor to complete it. Cool, I didn't know that about Daniel. That's how I'm eating now. Daniel was also a prophet, if you didn't know that. Pratt has been linked to Zoe Church in Los Angeles, California, which is pastored by Chad Veach. According to the church's website, Veach and his congregation completed the Daniel fast, and the pastor extensively documented his own experience on his Instagram page. Pratt, who regularly uses his platform to share his faith, and we've seen some stories here on the show in the past, he previously revealed that Veach's books have been helping him keep his faith strong. He says, I read books by my pastor, Chad Veach. He said in a home video posted in December, I find his book, Faith Forward Future, to be very helpful. FFF 666. I know, I'm not saying that's what that means, okay? I mean, FFF can mean 666, but I'm not saying this guy's a bad guy. It's just something I noticed, and then it came out of my mouth, and then it was too late. Now here we are. The 39-year-old actor recently announced his engagement to Katherine Schwarzenegger, declaring, I'm thrilled to be marrying you, proud to live boldly in faith with you. Here we go. The duo plans to have a religious wedding and want to keep God at the center of the marriage, according to People magazine. They're going to want a religious wedding, a source close to the couple said. I know that Chris does, and I assume she does too. God's going to be a part of this marriage. The same source also added that Pratt appreciates how Schwarzenegger isn't afraid to discuss her beliefs openly. He's constantly around other people who have no faith or are apologetic about it, but not her. She's willing to talk about it to anyone who will listen, the source said. Okay, what do you think about that? You know, there's this idea that I think exists out there with some people that, everybody in Hollywood has done the deal. Everybody in Hollywood's on a contract, right? Gonna have to kill someone pretty soon. You want to keep that money rolling in? This really does happen. We know this happens in certain levels, but certainly not all of them. And I hate to just throw them all under the bus like that, because I know that God's powerful enough to have even good people, his people, in the lion's den, right? Of course he does. They're everywhere. We're everywhere. And I'm sure they have to be real low key. A lot of them do about their faith and everything else, but it exists, sure. And I don't think they're not all in league with Satan on every level out there. I worked out there for years in reality TV. Most of you know this already about me. So I wasn't any kind of a big shot. I just worked production stuff, but you hear a lot and you learn a lot, and it was a mixed bag. I met other Christians out there, so not all the time, and most of them would keep it real low key, but they were out there. Another one, like speaking of us being in a movie, right? Zombie deer brain disease spreads to 24 U.S. states and Canada and increasingly threatens humans. I've been waiting forever, really, to see something like this manifest. Not that I've wanted to see this manifest, but with all the zombie programming we've been under for like a decade, I knew there has to be something coming that's going to be big worldwide and related to the zombie stuff. Okay, so that's just the way my mind works. I've always figured, and I'm looking for this stuff. And I don't know if this is it necessarily or not, but it is interesting, isn't it? Let's read on. An incurable mad cow-like brain infection nicknamed zombie deer disease that causes deer, elk, and moose to behave strangely and aggressively is spread through half the U.S., and some fear it may soon turn up in humans. Chronic wasting disease. Oh, love the name. CWD. Chronic wasting disease. Wow. How'd he die? Chronic wasting disease. Dude. Renders its victims uncoordinated, confused, and aggressive, while also causing them to lose weight and eventually their lives, giving rise to the nickname zombie deer disease. Sick animals walk in repetitive patterns and lose all fear of humans, developing a vacant stare. I wonder if that's what happened on the one of my shows here a few months back. There was a footage of the reindeer up on the North Pole, I think it was, right? And they're all just spinning around in circles, and scientists couldn't figure out why. Is it all the way up there? I don't know. I'm sure there was probably something else. But that was pretty weird. That was a weird one. Wow. So, like mad cow disease, CWD attacks the brain and spinal cord and is believed to be caused by prions, infectious proteins that travel in bodily fluids and remain contagious for years after leaving the body of their host. Also, like mad cow disease, in its early days at least, some scientists have scoffed at the notion it can be transmitted to humans. Others see history repeating itself. There's a map. I guess that's all the spots where this disease has turned up in America. Whoa, a lot there in the kind of Midwestish area, right? Kind of Northwestern. It says Minnesota is currently in the throes of its worst ever CWD outbreak. The disease is incurable, and its long latency period means symptoms can take as long as a year to show up, meaning a hunter could shoot a healthy-looking deer and take it home for dinner without knowing he was consuming infected meat. While a Canadian study demonstrated last year that macaws, I think I said that right, fed with CWD infected meat developed the disease, leading Canadian authorities to issue a health advisory. Okay. Wow. There you have it, guys. World War Z. Okay. Maybe not yet, but interesting, right? One to watch. One to watch. But aren't they all? Aren't these all stories to watch for? There seem to be follow-ups, too, a lot of times to these. So they destroyed an American institution. You know, they destroyed an American institution, the Boy Scouts, and now we're left with this: all-girl Boy Scouts troop launches in Wayne County. So they forced Boy Scouts to accept the girls, right? And then now the girls want to branch off and just kind of create their own thing, but under the Boy Scout moniker. High five. Anything boys can do, girls can do too. And that includes being part of the Boy Scouts of America. A small but enthusiastic group of young ladies met at Zion Lutheran Church in Worcester last week to become part of the new Troop 64, an all-girl troop which will offer the new recruits some privileges they think they've been missing, such as whittling and camping. It's the first all-girl BSA troop to start in Worcester, according to organizers. Under the umbrella of the Boy Scouts organization, female scouts aged 10 to 18 will participate in Scouts BSA. Because of their new designation, may work toward the distinguished rank of Eagle Scout just like their male peers. This troop will be led by the girls themselves, Scoutmaster Colleen Cole said. For the most part, it will be girls leading other girls. Young girls already had been streaming into Cub Scout packs and needed a place to cross over once they reached 5th grade. The Cub Scout packs, welcoming girls and boys, have been part of a family-friendly trend in scouting and have been opening up new opportunities. Cole's daughter had been watching from the sidelines, a lot of fun activities that Boy Scouts were enjoying, Cole said, particularly related to the outdoors. Jim Sayer, leading Troop 65, affirmed an outdoor focus in Boy Scouts with the option of joining Girl Scouts or Scouts BSA. Different people with different interests are being served, said Brooke Johnson. She also pointed out that the Scout Oath and Scout Law are not gender-specific. Good, I guess, but rather good for all our kids in our community. Oh, boy. Okay, anything boys can do, girls can do better. I think boys are leaving the Boy Scouts now, right? Boys leaving Boy Scouts. I just want to see real quick. Well, it says Girl Scouts suing Boy Scouts over leaving boy out of something. Okay, out of Boy Scouts, sure. Why are more kids quitting Boy Scouts? Look at this. I can't stand Snopes, but fact check. Did the Boy Scouts lose 425,000 members? They say unproven. Anyway, it's caused a real stink, let's just say. Again, they've destroyed an American institution. There were options for girls, right? Which is fine. We should all have our options, but to stick with each other. Boys, and let boys hang out with boys, let girls hang out with girls, and we didn't all have to be forced to be together. When I was little, I was a Cub Scout. I didn't want to hang out with girls when I was doing that. You know what I mean? Like, just kid time, boy time. We still at that age where we didn't like girls, threw rocks at them and stuff, chased them with axes. No, I'm just kidding. Was it just me? I mean, it was just me. No, it was never that bad. But you know how little kids are. They're just little stinkers. So, and little boys and little girls, they don't like each other like that, right? They're not there yet. They like to hang out with each other. Rambling. Look at that bear. Russian Arctic town suffers polar bear invasion in all capital letters. Dozens of predators won't go away. Videos. There better be videos. Look at that thing. Look at that mouth. It's the last thing you'd ever see right there. A state of emergency has been declared in the Russian Arctic archipelago of Novaya Zemlya. Man, that does not roll off the tongue. Not fun to say. Not fun. As locals face a massive invasion of polar bears with over 50 predators seeking food and harassing residents in the urban landscape. The move was announced Saturday after several weeks of close encounters between locals and the fearsome furry beasts. People are fearful. They're afraid to go outside. Daily life is in turmoil. Parents are wary of letting children go to their schools and kindergartens. Deputy head of the local administration, Alexander Miniev, said in a statement. The town of Belushia Guba, now that's kind of fun. Belushia Guba. Sounds like a big round bad guy, like a big dude that's like literally kind of round, like really tall, like 7 foot tall, really round. And he's always wearing a monocle. I don't know why, but his name is Belushia Guba. 7 foot tall, round, always wearing a monocle. The town of Belushia Guba seems to be the most affected by the polar bear problem, with at least 52 specimens roaming around the vicinity. A bunch of videos have emerged online showing the bears strolling down the snowy streets, digging through food waste, and even trying to invade homes. I want to see those videos. Oh, look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that. You can see the polar bear coming up the stairs there. There's a dog in front of him. There's another polar bear over there on that other set of stairs. See that? We want videos. I'm not seeing the videos, but that's okay. Maybe next time. Maybe they accept cookies. Maybe that's what I needed to do. Is that what it is? Let's see. Guess not. That's okay. That's fine. We'll just look at a couple pictures, or a picture or two, I guess. Here's somebody saying, I've been in Novaya Zemlya since 1983, yet I've never seen such a massive polar bear invasion. While polar bears don't normally hunt humans preying on various sea mammals, instead, a close encounter with them can result in serious injuries or being mauled to death. Well, okay. I really want to see, some let's see. Is that cool, guys? I'll take a quick jump here, and we're going to see if we can find just a video. I'm curious. Okay, here we go. I saw something. Whoa, look at these guys. Oh, of course, CNN saying it's climate change causing this. Of course. All right, there's no video. No worries. Look it up on your own. I'm sure there's got to be something cool out there somewhere on this. And maybe there's a video on here somewhere. It's just loading, and I don't want to wait that long. But anyway, interesting, eh? Polar bear invasion. Things are huge. Okay, cool. There's a video. This thing loads up. I kind of want to see some footage of this, man. I'm going to try not to do these so many kind of jump offs. I've had some people occasionally complain that on my show that I'll bounce from one idea, then go into a bunch of other stuff and, start following threads. And I've had people complain about that. So I'm trying not to do that as much, but that's just the way my mind works. Like this is how I create my videos and stuff too. And I'm a little ADD, too. So anyway, but here's some footage of a polar bear in Russia in an apartment complex or a housing unit, I think they call them. Oh, cool. Okay, there's some footage. Dang, look at all those. Trying to keep away from the music there. Got to keep an eye on those copyright things too. 2,500 people. That's a big deal then. 50 polar bears in a town of only 2,500 people could do a lot of damage for real. Well, more high temperatures rising, more sea ice. Okay. All right, the rest is probably going to be about global warming. But anyway, we got to see some footage. All right, so that's it. I'm going to try not to bounce around just in my own threads and following things. And I listen to you guys, okay? I want to be more professional. Starting right now. Purple Heart triple amputee Brian Colfage, I think you say his name, undergoes invasive TSA groping at Tucson Airport video. Yeah, I haven't seen one of these TSA groper videos in a while. Maybe people just aren't recording them as much. But I knew it was still happening. Has to, because this is what they do. They're professional gropers, right? What could go wrong? We love it. We love it here in America with the TSA groping us. And the children, those are always the best, videos is when the TSA is groping children or handicapped children, especially. I'm being sarcastic. There's nothing good about that. Just in case, another thing I gotta be careful of. Some people don't understand. I have a kind of a dry sense of humor. So all people leave me messages raging. KG, I can't believe you said, So I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to be more professional. Tonight, I'm starting tonight. Here we go. Really? I mean, is all this really necessary? Just saying, right? How many terrorists has the TSA caught? That's another question. I need to find out. Have that question answered. How many terrorists have they actually caught? I think I got some pretty wild footage Okay, let's go ahead and let's check this out. I got some pretty wild footage lined up for you this evening. I took a little trip over to Live Leak this week. Occasionally, I'll go there. It's another kind of interesting site. Um, from what I can tell, not very censored at all, which is kind of nice. Also a bit dangerous at times. You got to be careful walking around over here in Live Leak. You never know what you'll find. Okay. So be careful with that. And I mean violent stuff typically. There's some really crazy violent stuff on here. But there's also some really amazing footage. There's happy things, there's nice things, there's beautiful things, and then there's scary things, and then there's life lessons like this one right here. This is a life lesson. Um, Brazilian YouTuber boy was bitten by his dog while doing a live broadcast. I'll show a little bit of this. Like we'll go ahead and check some of this out, and I'll try to skip around the worst part here, okay, which is the aftermath. But you're going to get the idea. And I wanted to show this because I had a personal experience with this as a kid myself. I used to be real reckless with animals when I was real little. Like grabbing them and squeezing them and like messing with them. And, I thought it was funny to make them growl. And, I always thought that was cute, like 9, 10 years old. I used to do stuff like that. And one time I was walking just through my neighborhood going home, like summertime, probably because we were close to the house, but it was probably like 10 or 11. And there's a German Shepherd, a neighbor's dog, laying in his yard, kind of on my way to the house. So I just started running as soon as I saw this dog, running, man, as fast as I could. Jumped, leapt right over this dog, man. I don't know why. I just thought, I'm a dumb kid. You see a dog laying there, not bothering anybody, minding his own business. My first thought is, let's run as fast as we can and jump over that big dog. Okay, so I tried it. Anyway, he jumped up right as I'm going over, bit me under my arm. Right, it's the first time I ever had to get stitches or anything. He ripped me under my arm. I went falling over on the other side. He finally let go of me. I ran home. He chased me for a little bit. Terrified. I got in a lot of trouble for that. A lot of trouble. But anyway, the point is, when I saw this video, it made me think of my bad experience of me being just a little jerk. You know what I mean? I don't know why I did some of that stuff. You know how it is. When you're kids, you do stupid stuff, right? So anyway, that's my dog story. You're welcome, I guess. I don't know, but let's check this out. I think there's an important lesson here. And ask yourself while you're watching this, have you ever been this little boy or this little girl doing this to pets, thinking it's funny?
Louco, gente, pra ver a Anitta rebolando a bunda. Tava louco, gente. Anitta, como você faz isso com o Alvin? Tô bravo com tu, filha. Vai tirar meu microfone. Tô puto com tu, Anitta. Tô puto com tu. Tô puto com tu. Como é que a Anitta faz nós esperar a Alvin? Como é que ela deixa você sem ver ela? Hein? Você ficou bravo com a Anitta também, né? Você não ficou com a Anitta também?
That's the dog growling.
Anitta deixou nós chateado, né? Viu? Então ela falou que é, Anitta. Então, Alvin, né? Viu, Anitta? Né? Se nós sabemos que o ao vivo vai demorar pra fazer, nós nem faz, querida, né? Ai, que lindo, gente. Que bonito. Que gostosinho. Que lindo. É, né? Você é bonito, né? Eu não libero o filme. O Vitinho podia Vitinho.
Wait for it.
Tamo bravo com a Anitta, né, Alva? Sim. Nós somos bravos com a Anitta, né, Alva? Meu Deus, ele me mandou. Mas ele me mandou,
Okay, I'm going to stop it there. It actually gets a lot worse. We're not going to look at any of that stuff. The aftermath is pretty bad, okay? But the little boy, survived and had to get stitches and stuff. But whoa, right? So anyway, let that be a lesson to us all. Again, maybe some of you were like that when you were little, just too close with these pets and messed with them too much. And, it takes that one time. We all had that moment, right? But it takes that one time for that dog or that cat or that whatever it is you're messing around with to bite you back or scratch you or something, and then you learn your lesson, right? Anyway, there you go. Man, okay, this one is really interesting. I'm putting this in a new video anyway. I've been doing another one with a lot of stuff that's happening up in the skies, but this one just happened, and there's a lot more to it. I've got a bunch of different footage and different angles on this. Just happened February 10th. This was uploaded. Now watch this though. They say it's a meteor, right? And like I said, I've got angles on this too, which I'll put together in a video. But this isn't the way a meteor. This isn't the way a meteor moves, right? Typically, they just kind of keep going straight and they decelerate, and then eventually there's impact. But look at the way this one moves. This is a short clip. I'll play it a few times. Okay, here we go. Oops. There we go. It's crazy, right? Is that what meteors do? Is this what meteors do, really? I don't know. Again, hey, I'm no scientist, all right? I ain't that smart. Maybe there is some normal explanation for this. I don't know, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm working on something myself, looking at different angles of this. And we'll see. We will see. Maybe if I can come up with anything myself, and maybe once I put this out there, you guys can figure more out. Or just go look up footage. Look up footage of the meteor in Venezuela. Okay? Look up meteor strikes Venezuela. You'll see all kinds of very interesting footage. Even the aftermath. The aftermath is pretty wild. It's a field on fire, but I'll be putting that in there too, because there might be some things happening there in the aftermath for us to keep an eye on. Mayoral task force recommends paying struggling Chicagoans $1,000 a month. So they're going to start doing this? Like they're really going to start... they really going to start doing this? Guys, some Chicago families could start collecting a $1,000 check every month with no strings attached. That's the new proposal from a task force created by Mayor Emanuel. Of course. That's Rahm Emanuel. The idea is to break the cycle of poverty. And he really, I think, brought a real dark cloud with him and placed it over Chicago. There's been so much happening out there. It's a very active city, like in a negative way. A lot of violence, a lot of death, a lot of weird stories. I've covered some of this over the years, but just seems like he was real close with Obama as well, but it seems like he took a black cloud with him to Chicago, right? And I don't know. Maybe that's the way I see it. That's where my dad's originally from too, is Chicago. The idea is to break... I've never been there. I've seen pictures. I'd like to go. I'd like to go and collect a $1,000 check every month with no strings attached, baby. The idea is to break the cycle of poverty. The pilot program would give 1,000 struggling Chicagoans $1,000 a month. Supporters say people could use the extra cash to cover unexpected emergencies, increase their savings, and improve their health. The money would come from a mix of city funds and charity. And that's all they're saying about it. So, okay, there's not much more on that, but that's, what do you think? Is it universal basic income? It's another socialist idea. It hasn't worked before. It won't work now. I do like the idea of trying to take care of the homeless, though, right? And people who are really suffering. Just maybe not this way if it's going to cause all the working people's taxes to go up, right? I don't know. Maybe there's a way they could figure it out. What do you think? What are your thoughts on this? Like my heart wants to help the homeless. What is this? Oh, okay. But we got to do it a smart way. I didn't even know this was a thing. Flamin' Hot Cheetos are sending kids to the emergency room. Yeah, I didn't even know this was a thing. Did you know this is a thing? In today's breaking news, cigarettes can kill you, the sky is blue, and Flamin' Hot Cheetos are bad for you. In fact, according to an interview on Medical Daily, pediatricians now claim that spicy snacks like Flamin' Hot Cheetos send multiple children to the emergency room each year. This comes as a shock to the many people who assumed the Flamin' Hot seasoning, aka maltodextrin, salt, sugar, monosodium glutamate, yeast extract, citric acid, red 40 lake, yellow 6 lake, yellow 6, and yellow 5, was a perfectly fine product to consume in mass quantities based on the old saying, a maltodextrin a day keeps the doctor away. You'll be here all week, folks. Tip your waitress. Instead, eating too many spicy sticks of cornmeal can lead to severe abdominal pain, ulcers, erosions, peptic ulcer disease, and gastritis. Not to mention a proliferation of the classic childhood prank, Mom, I have blood in my stool. Just kidding, it's just red 40 lake. Another joke. I brought this up because I actually wanted to show you something else here. Flamin' Hot Cheetos. There. Flamin' Hot Cheetos. And cheese sauce. I know this is random. I just saw it somewhere else, and I saw these people eating this mix here. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, that's the picture I wanted to find. I just wanted to show you this. Again, I didn't know this was a thing. I had no idea this was a thing. What is this? Okay, here it is. Here's one of the pictures. This is a thing. Like, this is what there's people in Los Angeles, and I just saw this week. I guess this here is top 5 snacks from my hometown in South Texas. But there's food trailers or whatever out in Los Angeles that are selling this, where they cut open the top of a Flamin' Hot Cheetos bag, and they dump in hot cheese sauce, and then people just eat that with a fork, like straight out of the bag. I can't even imagine. That's just me. I can't even imagine. That just seems so bad. I don't know why this just seems so. Well, then you saw that other article. That's why. So I kind of did that in reverse. I saw this interview with these, people that are running a business out there in LA somewhere, like a streetcar thing or whatever. This was one of the things they had that they said it was like a top seller. So I was curious if there was, if these things were dangerous. I went online, I started looking for Flamin' Hot Cheetos and danger. Then I found that article about, all the problems it can lead to and all the chemicals that are in it. So anyway, there you go. I just want to share that. Again, have you guys ever eaten that? Don't worry. I mean, no judgment here. Just curious, Wow, look at that. Shoosh. Like, my heart's kind of like thumping just looking at all that cheese. I should probably not even look at that. Nancy Pelosi's favorite Bible verse isn't in the Bible. Why am I not surprised? I thought that was great. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has spent more than 15 years quoting her favorite passage from the Bible. The only problem is that the verse doesn't actually exist anywhere in the sacred scriptures. With an internet full of specious quotes out there, it's easy to see how people can occasionally get tripped up by something that sounds plausible. However, you'd think that someone would have higher standards when it comes to claims about their favorite Bible teachings. Not so with the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi. The passage that Pelosi has cited as her favorite goes like this: to minister to the needs of God's creation is an act of worship. To ignore those needs is to dishonor the God who made us. Congressional records reveal she has used it 11 times on the House floor since 2002. She also cites it outside of the House, including recently when she addressed Christian educators at the end of January. However, how embarrassing for her, too. Seriously, man. She did this in front of Christian educators that know their Bible. I mean, come on. It's either she's that big of an idiot or she's just that wicked. I don't know. However, the passage simply doesn't exist, and Pelosi, who is Catholic, recently had to admit she couldn't find it anywhere in the Holy Book. All right. I can't find it in the Bible, but I quote it all the time, Pelosi told the educators. Okay, so she came out with it. I keep reading and reading the Bible. I know it's there someplace. It's supposed to be in Isaiah. So I jumped to judgment. She did, at least she exposed herself in a way, right? But still, doesn't necessarily make it any better, I guess. The Pelosi passage is not in the Bible, Will Kynes, an associate professor of the Hebrew Bible Old Testament at Whitworth University, said. Kynes added that the closest analog can be found in Proverbs 14:31, which says, "Those who oppress the poor insult their maker, but those who are kind to the needy honor him." So the only question that remains is where Pelosi found the quote. All right, whatever. Anyway, no surprise. She's scary. My mom is truly one of the sweetest people ever. Even people that meet her and don't even know me, and just friends of her friends and stuff. Everyone loves her. Like, she's genuinely a salt of the earth type person. And even she said that when she looks at this Pelosi sometimes, it like makes her want to ball up a fist. And that's her way of saying, like hit something or whatever. And she had me laughing the other day, but yeah, because we saw her up on the TV. But to hear my mom even say something like that, it just kind of came from out of nowhere. But I mean, it used to be directed at us when we were little and being bad. She didn't actually hit us, but she did open carry, so that kept us in line. All right. Number of stabbing homicides in England and Wales at highest level ever recorded. The main reason I wanted to share this is I think that that's the story, to me, is that, they outlawed guns in England, right, in the UK. And so most people don't have them. I mean, they're there illegally, but you don't hear of a lot of shootings out there, right? So now we have this number of stabbing homicides in England and Wales at highest level ever recorded, right? So when are they going to outlaw knives, for real? Is this something they're actually going to have to do? And it wouldn't matter. That's the thing. Even if they did actually outlaw knives or something like this goes to show you that there's just violence in some people's hearts, man. That there is murder in some people's hearts. And if they're that determined to do it, to act out, they're going to find a way. They're going to find a way. If it ain't a gun, it's a knife. It's not a knife, it's a baseball bat. It's not a baseball bat, it's a brick, It's not a brick, it's a piece of rope. And there's people out there that have murder on their heart. And they will stop at nothing to accomplish their mission. That's another reason prayer is really important, right? Not being funny, being serious, but you don't want to run around in fear all the time either. You can't. But we got to remember that there are monsters among us. And even if you keep outlawing the weapons, they're just going to keep using other things. And they'll get creative too, Father says 6-year-old son refuses mom's demand to dress like a girl. Now he's being charged with child abuse. Let's see what... let's just read it. A Texas father is in the middle of a high-stakes legal battle that could end in him losing his son. Jeffrey Younger has been charged with child abuse for not affirming his ex-wife's decision to raise their son, James, as a girl. According to court documents, James's gender identity depends on which parent he is staying with. He dresses as a little girl only when he is with his mother, who calls him Luna. Luna means moon, right? All right. However, Jeffrey told the Federalist his son insists on wearing boys' clothes and violently refuses to wear girls' clothes at my home. So the mother accuses Jeffrey of, quote, emotionally abusive behavior towards James by refusing to affirm his identity as a girl. Court documents list at least one example of, quote, abuse, which includes cutting James' hair and other non-affirming actions. Although unclear if this behavior rises to the level of family violence at this time, the father's aggression is becoming more common and more intense, the documents say. The Federalist reports the mother wants to strip Jeffrey of his parental rights. She is also seeking to require him to pay for the child's visits to a transgender affirming therapist and transgender medical alterations, which may include hormonal sterilization starting at age 8. Oh my gosh, that is, report continues. That's violence, man. That is violence. That. Violence. It's abuse. Some of you may have heard my interview recently with Ellie, who was a female that had transitioned, went through a large part of the entire process, and then found Christ and went back, went back to her real gender, her birth gender. So, and that just, wow, this right here just makes me, isn't that something? Look at this. This is a real story. Father says 6-year-old son refuses mom's demand to dress like a girl. Now he's being charged with child abuse. Real story, okay. James's mother has taken him to see a transition therapist who diagnosed him with gender dysphoria. However, the therapist notes that James prefers to be called Luna, Moon, when he is with his mother, the mother goddess, also Luna, Moon, mother goddess worship, when he is with his mother, but prefers to be called James when he is with his father. Eyewitness accounts support Jeffrey's observations of James preferring to be a boy. Based on the 3 occasions I've spent with him, I'd say he acts and looks unmistakably like a healthy 6-year-old boy. I am praying for James, an average 6-year-old boy, a sweet-natured, intelligent, lovable, and at this point, particularly vulnerable young man, caught up in a titanic clash of worldviews, Bill Lovell, senior pastor of Christ Church Carlton, said. CCC 333. James's case is not the first, and it won't be the last. The American Academy of Pediatrics published finding that more children are beginning to use, quote, non-traditional gender terms to self-identify. Some parents are even allowing their children to choose their own gender. Oh, boy. What could go wrong, right? Some parents are even allowing their children to choose their own gender. What could go wrong? Okay. It's a thing. We know it's a thing. Massachusetts is the latest liberal state to approve abortion up to birth of baby, which is this stuff is so crazy. It's hard for me to fully process it all right now, honestly, because there's a lot of this happening, and I'll be putting this together in something as well. But there's a lot of just stuff coming out right now about this subject. Not just the mainstream stuff, not just the states who are doing this. A lot of stuff, a lot of weird footage is coming out too. There's some I found this week that I didn't want to share on here just in case. You got to be careful, some of this stuff. And plus, I don't like to see any of the really, really violent, gross stuff. But here's one I found this week of these anti-abortion people protesting in front of an abortion clinic. The doctor came out, and he's being a real jerk with him. They're fighting back and forth. Happens to be of a certain tribe, the doctor is, and even talks a lot about the Torah and all this, and saying that it's not even in the Torah, that abortion's not even in the Torah, and there's nothing to worry about. He's basically doing God's work. It's very interesting. But the really shocking part is when he went into the office and came back out with a PBA, I guess you'd say it. Yeah, partial birth abortion, like in a jar, and he's like kind of moving around towards him and stuff and freaking him out. It was weird, man. The whole thing's weird. So you're welcome. Again, I didn't want to see it again either, but every story I look at, I have to process in my mind throughout the week. This is what I do, and that's how I build my videos too. But some of them, and I have to ask myself, is this worth keeping around? Is this worth sharing? Sometimes there's a difference, but anyway. There you go. There's a lot of this subject is really popping out now, and it's super important, right? This is one of the most important things happening right now. I mean, people are really showing themselves, right? Because to me, you can't be one of God's kids and vote yes on something like this. And a lot of these people are very arrogant about it too, that are voting for this stuff. really arrogant about the decision. That Virginia governor, I believe there's footage of him talking about it. Just seems real. Whatever, yeah, sounds good. Let's do it. It's like, God, man, really? Anyway, so we're seeing the goats. That's the way I see it. We're seeing the tares, among us. Some of you may say we're seeing the reptilians. The lizard people. Mystery mud on new volcanic island baffles NASA scientists. One of my subs sent this to me. I can't remember which one, but thank you very much. I'm sorry that I forgot your name, but I do appreciate you sending this to me. I believe it was a lady, so she thought it'd be interesting because it may have something to do with the black goo, and the black goo is a fun subject, right? It is. It's kind of frightening what it is, but it's also a very interesting subject. NASA scientists have landed for the first time on one of the world's newest islands and discovered the 3-year-old landmass is now covered in a sticky, mysterious mud, as well as a vegetation and bird life. Volcanic island sprang up in the ocean surrounding Tonga 3 years ago. Do you remember that? 3 years ago, this island just came out of the ocean. So this volcanic island sprang up in the ocean surrounding Tonga 3 years ago. One of only 3 new islands to emerge in the last 150 years that have survived more than a few months. Dan Slayback of NASA, sounds like a radio DJ. Dan Slayback. Be right back with Dan Slayback of NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center was desperate to visit the remote location because scientists still have scant knowledge about how and why new islands form. A team from NASA visited in October after previously studying the island using only satellite imagery. And Dan Slayback detailed their findings in a NASA blog post. I'll stop doing that. But his name does sound like a radio DJ, doesn't it? Anyway, I think I see what you're saying. Who knows? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I'd like to see more about it, more what they think it could be. Says a light-colored, sticky, clay-like mud continues to, quote, baffle Slayback and his team as to exactly what it is made of, and where it's coming from. Okay, so yeah. Yeah. I like that. Clay-like mud continues to baffle Slayback and his team as to exactly what it is. In the satellite images, you see this light-colored material, he said. It's mud. This light-colored clay mud. It's very sticky. So even though we'd seen it, we didn't really know what it was. And I'm still a little baffled of where it's coming from because it's not ash. Rock samples were collected for mineral analysis, and a high-precision GPS unit and aerial drone was deployed to estimate the island's elevation and more closely survey the uninhabited new land. It really surprised me how valuable it was to be there in person for some of this. Okay, so we get it. We get the point. Slayback. Mystery mud on the new volcanic island baffles NASA scientists. Hey, thank you for sharing that with me. And that'll be another one to watch. See what else kind of pops up. I mean, it is interesting. The island, who knows how old it really is, but popped out of the ocean 3 years ago. Has this weird mud that's baffling these scientists. Perhaps that is connected to the black goo, right? The black goo. This is just, huh? They're actually doing this. Anyway, I guess if you're getting tired of the same old emojis, it looks like they're bringing in a whole bunch of new ones, and this will be one of them. A tiny wiener icon is one of 230 new emojis coming in 2019. That's it. The nonprofit organization today announced the introduction of the new emojis, including the international hand gesture for a small wiener. Dumb, right? Just dumb. Like idiocracy dumb. It's crazy. Anyway, this looks like a bunch of the new emojis if you're interested. See anything in there of interest to you? Whoa, okay. So there's a lot of wheelchairs. There's a lot of that. Well, nothing. Well, there's Saturn. So, okay, they did one for Saturn. There you go. Got a pentagram. So Saturn and a pentagram. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Here's the new emojis. Are you excited yet? There's Saturn. A white heart. Okay. There's your pentagram or symbol of, I guess. There you go. New emojis. For all of you who've been sitting around thinking, man, when are they going to release an emoji for small wiener? I need this in my life. I don't know why, but I must have that. Millennials prefer music from 20th century, golden age to the pop of today, research suggests. I love this. I love this. Because ever since the 2000s, even myself have been asking, like where did music go? Good music, original music, even different genres, fine. But just, true singer-songwriters, no more vocoder. You know what I mean? True, real, original. No sampling, no rap to me. I'm not into the rap stuff so much. Or maybe elevate it to something else, but just what it's all become is all just so glitz, glam, shallow, right? Fake. A lot of the music's just fake. Most of the people can't even sing on there. It's just all robot voices. So, of course, this is great, though. I think this is great. I don't know about you, but I'm still listening to stuff. Well, I mean, I listen to a lot of the newer stuff I listen to is all kind of really indie type stuff. I like the really independent music. I've said before, I'll find just random bands on YouTube, that a lot of them don't even have much of a following, but I think it'll be great. I mean, I know it's out there. There's some real great artists out there that exist, and they're fighting, and the struggle is real, and a lot of them are out there working, man. They're touring, and they're trying, but I think it used to be a lot easier. Although now, I guess it's it is different. I mean, now they're online. It's a whole new landscape, so you can score online. That's true. I'd see, I guess, both sides of it. You see the positive and the negative of this. Anyway, I'm rambling. I do that from time to time. A study has found that golden oldies stick in millennials' minds far more than the relatively bland, homogenous pop of today. A golden age of popular music lasted from the 1960s to the 1990s, academics claimed. Songs from the era proved to be much more memorable than tunes released in the 21st century. Scientists tested a group of millennials on their ability to recognize hit records from different decades. The 643 participants, typically aged 18 to 25, maintained a steady memory of top tunes that came out between 1960 and 1999. In contrast, their memory of 21st century songs from 2000 to 2015, while higher overall, diminished rapidly over time. Lead researcher Dr. Pascal Wallish from New York University in the U.S. said the 1960s to 1990s was a special time in music, reflected by a steady recognition of pieces of that era, even by today's millennials. During this period, songs reaching the top of the U.S. Billboard charts were significantly more varied than they were between 2000 to 2015, or the 1940s and 1950s, said the scientists. Even so, certain songs were far more memorable than others, the study found. Well-known examples included When a Man Loves a Woman, Baby Come Back, The Tide is High. Others include Knock 3 Times, Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. I'm Sorry from John Denver, Truly Lionel Richie. Songs selected for the study included those that reached number 1 on the Billboard Top 100 between 1940 and 1957, and the top slot on the Billboard Hot 100 from 58 to 2015. The recognition proportion for each song was then plotted as a function of the year when it was a hit. Okay. Don't bore me with all this science mumbo jumbo, right? Anyway, interesting, right? Very interesting. What are you listening to? I mean, there's really not a lot of, except for me, the only real new stuff I listen to is all into, underground independent type stuff. But then I fall back on a lot of the old things, like 90s, 80s especially. The Pixies is my favorite band of all time. So, there's that. Frank Black's still out there doing it. And So's Kim Deal. She's out there doing her own thing. Runner strangled mountain lion. Man, this is just crazy, right? Runner strangled mountain lion after animal attacked him, officials say. Wildlife officials say a man who fought off a young mountain lion on a northern Colorado trail killed the animal by strangling it. Excuse me, I'm going to take a drink here. Water. Talked a long time without drinking any water. It definitely helps. Colorado Parks and Wildlife says the man was running alone near Fort Collins when the lion attacked him from behind after the movement apparently triggered its hunting instincts. A spokeswoman for Colorado Parks and Wildlife, Rebecca Farrell, says the man told investigators he choked it, and an examination of the animal confirms this. Farrell says he did exactly the right thing by fighting back as hard as he could. Since he was just out for a run, he didn't have anything to help him other than sheer will. The runner, whose name hasn't been released, fought off the cougar, hiked out of the area after Monday's attack, and drove himself to a hospital. He suffered facial cuts, wrist injuries, and puncture wounds to his arms, legs, and back. Whoa. On Tuesday, Colorado Parks and Wildlife said the investigation confirmed the man's account that he had strangled the animal. Mountain lion attacks are rare. 16 people have been injured and 3 killed by mountain lions in Colorado since '90. Last year, a starving mountain lion mauled one cyclist to death and seriously injured another during an early morning ride in North Bend. Okay. Wow. The human spirit, man. Sheer will, right? This dude wasn't ready to die. This was not his day. Oh, okay. Military helicopters in downtown Los Angeles. This just happened, about a week ago? Okay, this is a little bit past, but still. Yeah. Actually, it's close to about a week ago, I guess. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is fresh. Check this out. We haven't seen. Now, it seems like there was a lot of this kind of activity back around 2012. Then there's also 2015. I remember a lot of footage coming out from around America of a lot of drills taking place. Well, there's also that real big one. What the heck was it called? They did that massive drill. I even did a video on this. I can't recall it off the top of my head right now, but it was like a nationwide drill they did a while back. Is basically collecting data, and anyway. So there's been some instances of this, but anyway, now this is new. This is downtown Los Angeles. Look how low these helicopters are flying. Check this out.
Here comes the Black Hawk. Oh, fuck. He's like invincible.
I don't want to show the whole thing, but if you want, go to this guy's channel and watch it. Alex Strezev. But that one's even landing out there. Crazy. So, it's just regular drills. I mean, I was in the military. There's never anything. I mean, they're preparing in an area that they feel they're going to be seeing some action in. I mean, that's my understanding of things. I was in for 8 years active, but I was in the Coast Guard, so we weren't training for stuff like this. But I knew a lot of other people in different services, and I did training myself all the time. I was a medic, so yeah. So usually when it's something like this, when they're doing it in these urban areas, no matter where they're doing it, but if they're dropping off there and they're doing practice runs, it's because it's an area they expect to be in later, right? That's my understanding. So, what are they preparing for, right? We covered this one last week, but now it's official, I guess you could say. I mean, it wasn't really out there. I showed it from a Twitter account, someone's Twitter feed, and now we're getting the stories out about this, about the patrol officer cars in New York, the Muslim ones. This is actually an older story, though. I think I made a boo-boo there. This is from December 31st, 2018. Anyway, all right, whatever. Loose thread there. We did cover that last week, though, and showed that they had pictures. I showed you pictures of it. World of Wonder, incredible photos of freezing penguins, waterfalls, and I wanted to save that for later. We'll come back to that one. Indonesian police torture detainee with a snake. Anyway, watch this.
Berapa kali gua ambil HP? Kasih masuk di mulutnya. Kasih masuk ekornya di mulutnya. Kalau kita kepalanya. Yo, berapa kali gua curi HP? Woi. Cium dia. Aduh. Buka mata.
All right, that's it. I don't want to watch all that, but wow, right? I hate snakes myself. Not even just with the whole, serpent thing or, whatever, or even any metaphors with serpents or anything, but I mean, just in real life, snakes, not a fan. Well, this is another one that, this story was out last week, and now they're running it major mainstream, right? This is NBC News. So YouTube announces it will no longer recommend, quote, conspiracy videos. So just another level of, the attack, and they're going to be pretty hardcore about it, I'm sure. But they have been the last couple of years. It's been crazy. There's been a major culling on YouTube. So many channels are gone, man. So many channels. I mean, one of my favorite channels of all time got taken down from YouTube, and that was The Black Child. It was one of my favorite channels for a long, long time. And, so he's just one of many, but there have been a lot of casualties. So this is why I always go back to it, that I mean it sincerely, that I pray about this all the time. I just pray for protection of my channel, my platform, so I can keep putting things out. At the same time, you have to be wise as the serpent, right? And you do have to be careful the way you label things, and be careful how you talk. I never, said bad words or anything in the videos, but there's other things they can get you on. So you have to be familiar with all the community guidelines, and just do the best you can, right? To still be able to get your word out, which is cool. So, but you got to be wise about it now, man. They're really watching everything. So, but again, like they've been doing this for a few years. It's just YouTube has announced that it'll no longer recommend videos that come close to violating its community guidelines, such as conspiracy or medically inaccurate videos. Medically inaccurate videos. That means anything that goes against the mainstream narrative, right? The American Medical Association, which I had my own experience with. I had the heart attack several months back. They put me on tons of medication. You guys know some of this. I've talked about this. I did the video where I explained all the side effects the medicine was having on me, and I went to the doctor. They wanted to put me on more medicine, and then then they want to put you on a depression medicine, and then it's just there's side effects with that, so they'll take care of that with more medicine, and it's just that's what it is. And they're not there to heal you. I mean, we all know this, right? I was a medic, in the military for 4 years, but yeah, they just want to keep you alive, right? So, and keep that money coming in. So on Saturday, a former engineer of Google, YouTube's parent company, held the move as, quote, a historic victory. It's really weird, beside the obvious there, but is that, so I've been on YouTube like a long time. It's been almost 10 years, so what? I think 2010 is when I came on to YouTube. So yeah, it's been almost 10 years. And I've said this before. Some of you who followed me for years know, man, I started this a long time ago, way back before there was even a so-called YouTube truth community or YouTube Christian truth community, and way before, Illuminati videos could get hundreds of thousands and millions of views. I was here way before that when you didn't get that, and I saw it all grow. I was here from the beginning, and now we're here at the end of it in a way. Because to me, we've seen, some of the channels that went away, a lot of it, they were exposed, I guess, themselves, I guess in a lot of ways with overdoing it, pushing things for views, pushing things for cash, I don't know, man. I think that was probably part of it too for some people, but I'm rambling anyway. So, but the other thing is that back then when I started, you would never see a news story like this. I mean, this would have been just like, Bizarro World, Twilight Zone. If I 10 years ago, or say 8 years ago, when I had gotten started, had some videos up and I was just getting my start on all this would have been just what? Like, this article. Okay, on Saturday, a former engineer of Google, YouTube's parent company, held the move of no longer recommending conspiracy videos as a, quote, historic victory. That would have been like Bizarro World to me. It's like, why do they care? Really? Because they didn't. It wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't that big of a thing. I mean, this has been a part of a massive awakening. A lot of us were here way back then. I'm not just saying I'm the only one. And a lot of us have seen this. That's why it's very exciting. Because, of course, there's infiltrators and frauds and weirdos that come with the so-called truth movement. There's government agencies. We know that. Cass Sunstein even wrote a book about it. So we know all this, but at the same time, it's also kind of incredible. It's like we really broke through. We got so hardcore into the mainstream with our so-called conspiracies. I think it's amazing that even Jim Carrey mocked us. Right? People like Jim Carrey are mocking us. All the celebrities are mocking us. Matt Damon, a whole bunch of them made a video a while back talking about being members of the Illuminati, right? So I'm just saying, look what we've done. Call us what you want. I just like to think we're all individuals on our own paths. Sometimes we meet up on issues and we can form our own kind of groups, communities, tribes, I guess, whatever, right? And that's a beautiful thing. We can lay our differences aside and like each other, trust each other for the things we have in common. That's how we form together. It's fantastic. So we've had a huge impact on the world. We've had a huge impact on reality. So now they're trying to dismantle it. This is where we're at. So, and they have been trying this for a while. So that's where, again, I just pray about it, man. I don't sit around worrying about it. You can't. I put it in God's hands and just say, Father, please, protect my work, protect my channel. Thank you for as long as you've let me have it. Thank you. I'd like to continue as long as you'll allow it and be there, and protect it. So there you go, But, and I would hope you would all do that. If some of you out there have YouTube channels and you're concerned about things or whatever, remember, we have to truly be a lot more careful with the way you label things and whatever. Tags, especially titles. Okay. And that's about it. And just be cool with your content, I mean, as far as don't be showing, the violent stuff and just whatever. I don't know. I'm rambling because I know sometimes it doesn't matter. That's the other thing. I'm trying to stay, they'll do whatever the heck they want to do. Okay, that's just it. So don't give them any reason to come snooping at your channel or anything. If you can, pray about it, man. I'm telling you, that's the best thing we can do. Pray for protection. If you feel you're being led to do all this kind of stuff, say, God, please protect me, protect my work, and myself. Protect yourself, because then there's, all kinds of craziness out there. So there you go, guys. There you go. Alabama man's Bible survives devastating house fire, brings firefighter to tears. I think there's a video here. No. An Alabama man says it was a sign from God after the Bible that was passed down to him from his grandfather survived a devastating house fire, according to Fox 10. Scott Bird says the January fire destroyed the Bon Secours home he had lived in for 20 years. However, the Bible remained almost entirely intact. The fireman accidentally came out of the home with tears in his eyes, and he said, "You're not going to believe this. You've got to come see it for yourself," Bird told Fox 10. This Bible did not have one scorch mark on it. Bird said the fact the Bible was not incinerated was a sign from God. His family has faced hardships lately, including his daughter being diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia in 2014. Fox 10 reports that she has since beat the disease. Good. That's awesome. The Bird family has received significant support from the community following the fire. "We don't give up," Bird told Fox 10. "We've had an outpouring from the community, and if I went to name everyone, I would be here for 2 hours." Cool story, bro. I like it. I think this is a short video clip we can watch together, but
That's wonderful.
oh, it's 8 minutes. Here we'll check out just a little bit of it, because there's a rise of all these things. This is stuff I compile, and there's a rise of cancer, and there's a rise of suicide, and there's a rise of, and it's like everything's on the rise. All these bad things are on the rise in humanity. And anyway, here you go. Feeling lonely. You're not alone.
Wonderful as Valentine's Day can be if you're in love, it can be a little tough for those who are going it alone. Our cover story is reported by Susan Spencer. An avid musician, John Francis likes to let his banjo do the talking. And at one point, that was the only talking he did. So your 27th birthday rolls around.
Yeah.
What happened?
I said, I have to do something really different. I'm not going to speak for a day.
A day.
A day. Just a day.
But that one day turned into 2 days, then a week, then a month. And finally, I can't get my head around this. You did not say one word to another human being for 17 years.
Yeah, literally.
That's right. At 27, Francis decided to stop talking, period. And he stuck with that decision until he was 44 years old.
There were about 4 times when, by accident, I did speak. When I bumped into someone at the grocery store and I said, "Excuse me," and I went. Or I was Charlton Heston was on television.
Behold his mighty hand.
Hold his hand down, the Red Sea parted, and I just went, "Oh my God."
He spent those quiet years hiking, camping, and making art. He says he didn't really miss conversation. It wasn't working for him anyway.
I would listen just enough to think I knew what someone was going to say, and then I'd stop listening, which in effect cuts communication.
That feeling of being disconnected went hand in hand with something bigger, loneliness.
I think I was lonely. before I started this, in the sense that I didn't want to be alone with myself. And that makes you lonely.
But anyone who feels lonely is far from alone. According to a recent study, nearly half of Americans now say they sometimes or always feel alone. And 1 in 5 says they rarely or never feel close to anyone. To be lonely, do you have to be alone?
No, because it's about the quality of your connections with people. It's not just how many friends you have, it's about, do those friends know you authentically?
Former Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy made headlines when he called loneliness an epidemic. He even says loneliness can be fatal.
The increased mortality associated with loneliness is equal to the increased mortality we see with smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, and you know what? It's in fact greater than the mortality associated with obesity.
It doesn't matter who you are or even how old you are.
The assumption that many people often have is that it's older people who are lonely, but it turns out youth and young adults who may have the highest rates of loneliness.
You think younger people may be more likely to be lonely than older people?
That's what some recent studies have in fact indicated.
And especially among millennials, the ever-present phone may in part be why. These are the people who use the social media the least, over here the most. And look at this. I mean, this is amazing.
The higher it is, the more your odds of feeling lonely.
Dr. Brian Primack at the University of Pittsburgh heads the Center for Research on Media, Technology, and Health. He says the more social...
All right, man, I'll stop there because I don't want to play the entire 10-minute clip. But if you want to check it out, it's at cbsnews.com. February 10th just came out, so Feeling Lonely, You're Not Alone. It's a good clip. I watched the whole thing earlier, but I'm not going to share with you. No, I don't want to do a whole, another 5 minutes on that. But I think you got the point. I think that's interesting, eh? Are you lonely? Are you good being alone? Are you comfortable with yourself being alone? Some people aren't like that. Man, I've had friends that, even back in the day, like roommates and stuff, that they were just going to run to, say, 7-Eleven and grab a couple things or whatever, and they would always ask one of us to go with them. And it's like they always needed someone to be there with them at all times. I'm not trying, they're your friend. You want to hang out or whatever, but I'm saying all the time. It's like an hour before your bedtime, you're chilling in your room, just kind of unwinding, and it's knocking on your door. Man, come on, man, go to 7-Eleven with me. Just one of those kind of people. And he had a good heart, meant nothing wrong or anything, but that's just one example. I'm sure you guys have your own examples in your lives, guys, gals you've known that can never be alone, terrified to be alone. There's also those relationship jumpers. They always have to be with somebody. As soon as one falls apart, within a week, there was somebody else. And sometimes these people start setting, this is what a lot of cheaters are like that too. Sometimes they'll start, when they see one relationship going down or whatever, they'll start setting up the next one, just kind of getting things ready and then bounce. And some people can live their whole lives like that. And partial fact checkers are revealing their partisanship against Trump. Of course. I mean, this is the time we're in. It's like there's just war all around. Like, really, all these little wars taking place. If media wants to challenge the context and politics of Republican arguments, that's their prerogative. There are plenty of legitimately misleading statements worthy of fact checkers' attention, yet with a veneer of impartiality, fact checkers often engage in a uniquely dishonest style of partisanship. And State of the Union coverage gave us an abundance of examples of how they do it. So don't want to get into all that, but just bringing this up. Again, it's the war is on. We'll see what's happening here next with the next few days, because he doesn't sound like he's getting his border wall money. And he's been threatening to shut down or doing this national emergency bit. So I'm not really sure how that's going to play out, but we will see how that goes. We'll be watching. We'll all be watching. Speaking of that, speaking of wars all around, Google and Apple reach deal with Russia, China, and Saudi Arabia to censor populations now. That's just, wow. Don't be evil. Google, don't be evil. funny that they took that slogan down, right? They changed it. It sounds like it's going to be a video, but I mainly just want to show you the headline. But this is one I'll be watching as well. Come on, bud. Come here. Come on. Come here. What are you doing? Come on. Come on. All right, not yet. We're working on it. He's coming around. That's Chubbs, by the way. Don't worry. That's not how I talk to my children. I don't have children, but someone may have jumped into the show midway and don't know anything about me, and they're like, wow, it's the way he talks to his kids. Come here. Hey, come on. No? It's my cat. His name's Chubbs. Google and Apple reach deal with Russia, China, and Saudi Arabia to censor populations. I'll be watching. This was kind of cute. Chimps use branch as ladder to escape Belfast zoo enclosure. Chimpanzees have used a branch to escape from their enclosure at Belfast Zoo in the second breach by animals in recent weeks. They took advantage of damage caused by stormy weather to stage a breakout, which visitors caught on film. It comes after a red panda cub called Amber was found in the garden less than a mile from the zoo after it escaped from its enclosure last month. The last bid for freedom was made by chimps who used a branch as a makeshift ladder and scaled high walls surrounding their pen on Saturday. Visitors described seeing one of the escapees emerge from the bushes onto a path while others were sitting on top of their enclosure wall. In footage posted on social media, a child can be heard exclaiming, "Don't escape, you bad little gorilla." Zookeeper Alan Cairns said trees in the enclosure had been weakened by the storms, allowing the chimps to break them and use them as a ladder to escape. He told the BMC they're intelligent primates and they know they're not supposed to be out of their enclosure, so got back in themselves. Daniel Monahan, who was at the zoo with her 2 children, partner, and his young nieces, expressed concern about safety. "I was petrified, obviously, having the kids, and I tried not to show fear, but inside I was a bit like, what happens if it attacks us, or tries to take the kids, or runs over?" she told the BBC. "But we just had to stay calm. It may have been a different story if I'd been more aggressive, but it absolutely wasn't. It made us feel at ease. We just walked past it, and it was absolutely grand." Wonderful. Chimps. They're so cute. But they can rip your arms out of their sockets, too. This is good news. This is very good news. Wars all around. Bad guys don't always win, right? Brazil education overhaul, or they may win temporarily. But in the end, Brazil education overhaul aims at ousting Marxist ideology. This is good. This is good news. The president is taking his anti-leftist ideological war to Brazil's classrooms and universities, causing angst among teachers and education officials who say the government wants to fight an enemy that doesn't exist. Bolsonaro, the president, and top officials have announced plans to revise textbooks to excise references to feminism, homosexuality, and violence against women, say the military will take over some public schools and frequently bash Paulo Freire, one of Brazil's most famous educators whose ideas had worldwide influence. One of the goals to get Brazil out of the worst positions in international education rankings is to combat the Marxist rubbish that is spread in educational institutions, he tweeted on the eve of his inauguration. While students may not find many differences as they return to school this month, changes are afoot. "We are still waiting to see how in practice all this is going to turn out," said Nilton Brandao, president of one of Brazil's largest teachers' unions. "Right now, it does not make any sense. For the government, the ideological battle begins with the removal of Freire's legacy in schools, which Bolsonaro and other conservatives say turn students into political militants." Freire, who died in 1997, was one of the founders of critical pedagogy. Conservatives contend his method encourages students to challenge traditional values such as family and church. A socialist, Freire was briefly imprisoned during the 1964 to 1985 military dictatorship that Bolsonaro has repeatedly praised. On the campaign trail, Bolsonaro said he wanted to enter the education ministry with a flamethrower to remove Paulo Freire. Bolsonaro and his education ministry appear to be looking for inspiration in philosophers like Olavo de Carvalho, I don't know, a Brazilian who lives in the U.S., and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we get the gist of it. Wars all around. Wars all around. It's a long article. There you go. Brazil education overhaul aims at ousting Marxist theology. This is just wildness. It occurred to me when I was watching this that, and it's, I don't mean this to sound, bad or anything, but I realized I'd never seen Indians like from India, Indians fighting. I've never seen that. I've never seen footage or imagery of Indians fighting. I've seen pretty much every other race, right? Fighting, freakouts, public freakouts, stuff like this. But I can never remember a time I saw an Indian engaged in some kind of violence. This occurred to me when I saw this week. But this is basically, let's see what it says here. At a wedding held at a 5-star hotel in New Delhi, India, several drunk guests were incensed after being served cold food and receiving not proper service, causing them to attack the staff. Video of the riot, filmed last night, February 10th, shows the guests throwing plates and beating up the waiters as some of them lie on the ground and hold onto their legs. A man can also be seen trying to throw a pan at the waiter who tries to block his hands. The trouble started after guests began drinking and the host complained that no proper service was available and food was served cold to his guests. The hotel authorities responded that the guests were busy drinking and partying, which left the food to go cold because of the chilly weather conditions. The unhappy guests were not satisfied with this answer and turned riotous. And that is what you're going to see some of right here. Never seen Indians engaged in this kind of violence. They just demolished that place, man. Anyway, there you go. Never seen that before. That's all right. That's a good thing that I haven't seen that. But this is kind of, I guess, the doom break for the night. There's a couple others that come pretty close, but this one is a classic. Dog was swimming. They say he got too much water in him, and this is what happened. This is something you would enjoy doing? Do you need to rage yoga? You shouldn't need to. I'm sure it probably has something to do with chakras, like low key. That's what it really is. It has to do with the chakras. And, awakening that within. What do they call that? You guys know what I'm talking about. I think. Activating a chakra. I can't remember its name, though. Anyway, Washington state bill proposes composting of human corpses. Yeah, you heard that right. Senate Bill 5001, titled Concerning Human Remains. That seems like something out of a dystopian movie anyway. It's like a futuristic, like Hunger Games, right? Concerning Human Remains would allow for human composting, also known as recomposition, in Washington. According to the bill, human remains means the body of a deceased person, includes the body in any stage of decomposition, and includes post-reduction human remains. There's really only two options for when we die: cremation and burial, said Katrina Spade, a human composting advocate and CEO of Recompose, the company hoping to become the go-to firm for human composting in Washington if it becomes legal. Neither of these options felt particularly meaningful to me, and I think if that's the case, it's true for others as well, Spade said. Spade compared human composting to processes already in effect to recycle animal remains. They've already done lots of research about the safe and effective ways to recycle animals back to the land on farms, she said. We've proved recomposition was indeed safe and effective for humans as well. Okay. There you go. You going to sign up to be recomposted? Think about it. You could be recomposted into your backyard so that your grandchildren could plant trees, in your, what's left of your body there, right? Your physical form. So your grandkids could do that. Or, that crazy uncle nobody talks much about, he could recompost, plant some marijuana leaves in there, or, seeds, and then grow probably some strain that's just absolutely insane, bonkers, and, launches you into the cosmos. I don't know. Suicide cult. Left-wing grandmothers launch new group to demand abortions of grandchildren. As I said, this is a thing. This is the new. We're really there. Like, we're there. I know I'm easy going about things and whatever. I don't pound my fist on my desk and the new world order's coming for you and they're going to kick down your door. I'm not that dude, and it can't be, because this stuff's already freaky and crazy enough, but we can still expose this without losing our minds, right? Or without activating negative chakras. But for real, we're there. Like, this is it, man. This is infanticide. There's wars all around. Sides being chosen, whether people realize it or not. I see it as that. The wheat and the tares, right? The sheep and the goats. Suicide cult. The leftist death cult strikes again, this time in Maine, where a coalition of deranged grandmothers has repeatedly formed a new pro-abortion advocacy group that's pushing for more young women who could be these grandmothers' daughters to abort their unborn babies who, if they were actually allowed to be born and given a chance at life, could be these grandmothers' grandchildren. Dubbed grandmothers of reproductive rights, or what these pro-death elderly women think is clever and humorous, referred to in shorthand as GRR, G-R-R. The group is known to wear bright yellow shirts that send a pro-abortion message wherever they go. GRR founder Judy Carl says she decided to found the group after traveling to Africa and observing many young women who decided to postpone bearing children and having a family and instead pursue an education and a career. Somehow in Carl's mind, Carl, Somehow in Carl's mind, this inspired her to advocate. That was for your Walking Dead fans out there. This inspired her to advocate for more abortion here in the United States, where it's already legal and where birth control is readily available for women who wish to do the same. Abortion is a sticking point for many because it has become connected to religion. Carl is quoted as saying, again, bizarrely connecting her African experience to a domestic one involving abortion and religious opposition to the gruesome practice. It's not a religious issue. It's not Republican or Democrat. Reproductive freedom is a human rights issue. Okay, Carl. Anyway, more of this wickedness, right? Yeah, grandmas ain't what they used to be. My grandma used to bake cookies. Come here and make homemade ice cream. Maybe these grandmas do too. I don't know. But hi, Chubbs. Hey, what's up? Want to say something? Okay, I guess not. All right. Sorry, guys. He's right here. Ain't saying anything. Seems we have a video to watch. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is great. I guess you could call this a doom break as well. This is a really interesting story. I'm sure that someone's going to make a movie about this someday, or this guy's probably going to write a book. Anyway, this is really cool though. Check this out.
But doctors confirm that a Colorado man is one of only a very few people in the world who have had something like this happen. Our Rick Sounger tells us how an accident revealed a deeply hidden talent, what the man calls his beautiful disaster.
The music is in his mind. His fingers do the rest. What Derek Amato has is a gift that came in the most unexpected way. It happened 12 years ago in a swimming pool accident.
I miscalculated diving towards the shallow end, and I struck the bottom of the shallow end on this side of my head and damaged the back end.
After recovering, he was at a friend's house and walked over to a keyboard, and suddenly, without having played before, his hands were all over it. It's called acquired savant syndrome. The trauma to the head unlocked something unique inside Derek Amato's brain. Here at Classic Pianos, he explained to us that black and white squares appear in his mind.
I just follow what the blocks tell me to do, and I don't think I catch them all, but, you know, I do my best to take as many of those notes as I can and put them into playing.
Notes he cannot comprehend on paper.
Reading music seems very confusing for me. I've tried to learn a couple different times.
He is well aware he has been given a precious gift. Rick Salinger covering Colorado First.
It's pretty wild, huh?
Tomorrow on CBS 4 News.
Ooh, and then there's this. Sorry, like the last story was all really nice and inspirational. And now there's this. Meet the man behind a third of what's on Wikipedia. Yeah.
This month, Wikipedia.
Okay, check this out. This is very interesting to me because most of us have used Wikipedia at one time or another, right? So let's check some of this out together.
Celebrated its 18th anniversary. The online encyclopedia now boasts more than 5.7 million articles in English and millions more translated into other languages, all written by online volunteers. One editor was named among Time Magazine's most influential people on the internet. And Errol Barnett met up with him and joins us now to share what he found. Errol, good morning.
Good morning. Look, I came into this thinking, who does this kind of thing, right? Well, Stephen Pruitt does. The Virginia native has made nearly 3 million edits on Wikipedia, written 35,000 original articles. This is truly a mind-boggling feat. So it's earned him accolades and almost legendary status on the internet as well. So I ventured out to find out what it takes to be number one. On the grounds of one of the most historic churches in Virginia, you're hearing a rendition of an ancient Georgian solo. It's a cherished song in Stephen Pruitt's favorite place.
It's very simple. It's only one word, which means many years.
His love of music and singing even inspired his Wikipedia username. Sir Montio de Nicolau is his favorite opera character. It's under this pseudonym that Stephen helped reveal the untold story of Pohick Church.
Two of the vestrymen who worked to develop it and to develop this location were George Mason and George Washington. First president of the country, great friend of the Fairfaxes. Some have rumored that for a time he helped carry a torch for the Lord's wife.
Carried a torch, nice way of saying how to crush.
Yes.
Scandal of the 18th century. 1/3 of all English language articles on Wikipedia have been edited by Stephen, an incredible feat ignited by a fascination with his own history.
Well, my first article was about Peter Francisco, who was my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. And if we had an hour, I could probably go into the full story. He was a sergeant at arms of the Virginia Senate, and there's kidnapping, potential piracy. If you read a story about this guy, you would not believe any of it happened.
In the way his ancestor left his mark on history from the battlefield, Stephen is doing it from familiar quarters.
I have a bunch of early American music on disc.
Oh, God, here we go.
Living with his parents in the home he grew up in, he's always remained true to his interests. How did your parents react when you first told them, hey, Mom, Dad, I edit online encyclopedia pages?
I think for a long time there was an attitude of, that's a nice idea. The boy's crazy. I don't know why he wastes his time. The boy's crazy.
That may have changed when Time magazine named him one of the top 25 most influential people on the internet, alongside President Trump, J.K. Rowling, and Kim Kardashian West. How much money do you make from this?
None.
Why do you do it?
The idea of it, making it all free, fascinates me. Well, my mother grew up in the Soviet Union. So I'm very conscious of what it can mean to make knowledge free, to make information free.
Pulling from books, academic journals, and other sources, he spends more than 3 hours each day researching, editing, and writing. Even his day job is research, working in records and information at the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Do your colleagues at work know what you do?
Oh, yes.
What do they think of it?
Probably that I'm nuts.
Why?
Because I edit Wikipedia all the damn time. I think that one sort of goes without saying.
He's an incredibly driven person. I think he's an exciting person to know.
Wikipedia's Koei Kinyanjui says the site wouldn't exist without the dedication of its volunteers. It's now one of the top 5 most visited sites in the world, among Google, YouTube, and Facebook.
People like Stephen are incredibly important to platforms like Wikipedia, simply because they are the ones who are the lifeblood.
6,000 people visit the site every second, bringing a responsibility for the editors to present a diverse and fair platform.
We know there's a lot more to be done. And that's why we're very excited about projects like the Women in Red, which seeks to identify and place more content on women on our platform. Stephen has been...
The Women in Red. Huh. Like the woman in red. You know, the symbolism of the woman in red. Anyway, yeah, there you go. I showed you most of that. They're pretty much going to end it up there here in a bit or two. But I thought that was interesting. Interesting to get to know this mystery man. This man of mystery. Behind Wikipedia. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop that one. Here we go. 1 in 6 BBC stars must be gay or lesbian or disabled by 2020, says new staff hiring guidelines at the corporation. Wow. In a bid to deter criticism that it's been failing to reflect its audience, The BBC has pledged that LGBT and disabled people will each make up 8% of all on-air and on-screen roles. The new targets follow a heated debate in the House of Commons led by David Lammy, MP, on the issue of the broadcaster's diversity. 50% of all on-screen and broadcasting roles will go to women, who already make up 48.5% of the BBC's total workforce. However, the BBC will still be able to commission shows where the main roles are more likely to be male-dominated. Radio 2, which has a particularly male-dominated line of broadcasters, including DJs and presenters Chris Evans, Simon, whatever. Last year, a review by the BBC Trust, the corporation's watchdog, found that 6 stations, including Radio 2, raised concerns that they were failing ethnic minority audiences. Radio 2 is highlighted as having particular difficulties in attracting non-white listeners. It was said to reach an average of only 12% of BAME, Black, Asian, and minority ethnic adults each week, compared to 35% for all adults. The BBC's target for 15% of on-screen and on-air representation, including lead roles, to be people from BAME backgrounds will not be increased by 2020, as the current percentage reflects the UK's population. Anyway, that's a bunch of numbers. But that's another thing that's happening, is that, this whole scene right here, the gay lesbian, not the disabled, but the gay lesbian, LGBTQ and everything else included. I mean, that's a part of what's coming. That's a part of this, the one world system we're going to have, that they're building before our very eyes. I'll show you. I got a video I'm piecing together. Hopefully it'll be up here in a couple days. But it's pretty crazy, man. It's pretty crazy. All this stuff's lining up. Everything's lining up together. Politics covered, society covered. This is really wild, huh? People are realizing the image on this military MRE package looks like Trump and Kanye. Package was designed over 10 years ago. You see that? This package was designed over 10 years ago. And it does look kind of like Trump on the left-hand side. And it does kind of look like Kanye on the right. And right in the middle is a pyramid of guns. But that's interesting, huh? You ever had an MRE, meal ready to eat? They're pretty good. From what I remember, I haven't had one in a long time. Professors claim pro-life movement is about keeping America white. So there's more of this, right? The titled event, Reversing Roe, hosted by Gender Studies departments of Notre Dame and St. Mary's College, featured 2 professors who claimed the pro-life movement is all about keeping the U.S. a predominantly white country, which it would actually be the reverse, really. The group Irish for Reproductive Health also served as a host for the discussion. One of the academics, Notre Dame Africana Studies and Political Science professor Diane Penderhughes said that abortion is an issue that allows for an effort to control the place of women. I'm sure you figured that out, or you wouldn't be at this event. But it's also how people will reproduce, what the population will be like, what it will be like. Those who push so aggressively for reproduction, continued reproduction without any controls, are those who are also more likely to be in support of making sure the country stays predominantly, overwhelmingly white. Penderhughes made waves recently at another Notre Dame event when she yelled white privilege at a white man who was attempting to ask a question at a discussion about whiteness. Gender Studies Professor Pam Butler agreed with Pinderhughes. Pinderhughes sounds like the name of like a villain, right? Or maybe like a badass butler. You know, like if you had a butler that could also be a total ass kicker and protector, knows how to pick locks, knows hand-to-hand combat, can shoot any weapon. Pinderhughes. That'd be the name of that butler. Pinderhughes. Here's one that I even did a video over on my KJ Osborne channel way back about this one. Another foot, the 15th since 2007, washes up on a British Columbia beach. So this mystery has been going on for a really long time. Like I said, I did a video maybe 4 or 5 years ago on it. The BC Coroner's Office, I believe that's British Columbia, right? The BC Coroner's Service is asking for the public's help in identifying a human foot that washed up on a West Vancouver beach last year. The foot was inside a Nike sneaker found along the shoreline at the 30th Street beach access, south of Marine Drive and 30th Street, in September 2018. This is the 15th human foot found on the BC shorelines since August 2007. 10 of those feet have been identified as belonging to 7 people who died by accident or suicide, while 5 remain unidentified. Using DNA evidence, the coroner's service has determined the latest found foot is that of a man, but they have been unable to match it with any of the DNA profiles on file for missing persons. Based on the bone structure of the foot, the coroner's service identification specialist believes the age of death is under 50. The man was wearing a light gray Nike Free RN shoe with a black Nike swoosh logo and white base. Okay, there you go. Here's a map of all the feet that have washed up out there. Look at that. Weird, huh? Katy Perry saddened her shoe collection is embroiled in blackface controversy. Have you seen this? Katy Perry is speaking out after her shoe label pulled 2 potentially problematic pairs Monday from its online site in the latest example of fashion stumbling over styles that resemble racist imagery. Anyway, here's the loafers. What do you think? Right? Of course, the pyramid, the nose, and Katy Perry's logo there is an all-seeing eye. Also, as above, so below, right? The pyramids connected at the bases. We know she's, being used by the system. We know she's totally sold out to it, right? So is this all just kind of like a, contrived anger type thing, whatever? Pulling our attention to stuff like this. I mean, I'm sure it's part of a movement. Again, this is part of they want to limit our speech. They want to limit our freedom. They're going to keep doing stuff like this and pushing these narratives. You know what I mean? You've seen them. And this is just one of them right here. The new one. This is the blackface thing. The other thing is any man that's ever touched any woman inappropriately in their life, right? They're in trouble. Some women have been pulled in, not many, and then some homosexuals have been pulled in there, Kevin Spacey, but so it's the Me Too stuff, right? And I did a video connecting the witchcraft to all this stuff a while back. So, is this all part of it? Just another one of their spells? It's another way to limit your freedom, another way to limit our speech, free speech. I'm not saying about the blackface thing. This is just the psyop part. But they can use this to shut us down in the future for everything else, right? It's the whole, controlled chaos, right? Order out of chaos as well. This was just a really crazy one that Mad Guns Forever is a friend of mine here on YouTube, a diligent, I guess you could say, researcher too, as far as looking up crazy stories. We're very much alike like that. So he sends me stuff too. I've used a lot of his links. So thanks, Mad Guns. But here's another one. It's just kind of weird. I'd never heard of it. This is from 2017. It's the dog, masquerade. But it looks like some kind of a creepy Illuminati eyes wide shut party, right? That's cute. But down here it starts getting a little weird. It's like all the adults, are also doing this too, wearing their masks. Anyway, there you go. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Almost like a little, you got the animals doing it as well, right? And all that masked singer stuff and hiding in the shadows, hiding in masks, hiding from God. World of Wonder. Incredible photos of freezing penguins, waterfalls, and isolated communities reveal Earth's stunning natural beauty. I thought these were cool. I like to share this kind of stuff sometimes. It's in Antarctica. Look at this, man. Some of the stuff's incredible. That's New Zealand. Those are called betta, B-E-T-T-A fish. Whoa, some tribes in a place called Yunnan. That's cool. Jellyfish pulsates beneath the surface in Spain. That's crazy. Look at that. Nowruz. It's an Iranian festival. It's Romania. I love that. Look at that. That's in Oslo, Norway. Sunrise Mount Bromo, Indonesia. Looks like some strange planet, right? Some other strange planet. This is pretty cool too. Look at that. It's a beekeeper collecting honey. Goat milking in Greece. They don't say where this is. That's the tundra up in Alaska. That's crazy. This was shot underwater in Hawaii. That's cool, huh? Oh, hot air balloons. I've always wanted to go up in one of those. Have you guys ever done a hot air balloon ride? Is it scary? Is it cool? Those are pretty. Poland. It's a cool picture. That's cool. Gauja National Park, Latvia. Anyway, I think that's about it. That's it. Guys, I think that concludes my stories for this evening. Hey, man, as always, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for checking out the show. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, I appreciate you being here. Mods, thanks so much for your work. Big shout out to my Patreon and PayPal friends as well. thanks so much, you guys. I know I don't push that a whole lot, but I have a Patreon page. I don't monetize these shows anymore. I stopped that a while back as well, just because it's so easy for them to get claimed. So I always have to delete the portion from the video later, and it's a whole process. So it's best not to even monetize these. So just saying, if you appreciate the videos, the shows, the website, everything else, please feel free to jump in as a Patreon supporter or PayPal supporter. Thank you again, though, guys. Much love to you, man. I'm working on a new show as well, a new chat show. It'll be something different. It's going to be, I think it's going to be really cool. So I'll let you guys know more about that soon. Hopefully within the week. I just got to figure out how everything's working out here, but it should be a lot of fun. And got a couple big videos to finish up here, and they'll be up here shortly. Chubb says hi. He's been walking around all night, man, but he's just being quiet. Like I said, I could maybe force, a mew out of him, but it just wouldn't, that wouldn't be appropriate. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm being a dork. Hey, thanks again, guys. You guys take care. Be watching the channel over the next few days again for some more content. All right. And take it easy. I'll see you.